Yeah.
Hey, we're
so
back
we
on
can
the
cover a lot of
Morning
stuff.
Brew. We're back live today downtown on April 7th. I'm Larry Aarons. Our brand new co-host is also here, Amber Hendren. Amber,
Hello.
glad to have you here.
Hello, Larry.
Two big
Hi,
thumbs up.
everybody. Thank you. Thumbs up. Thank you. Hi, Dennis.
And you
Hey,
guys
what's up?
just met my old friend Dennis Domrzalski, who is with us from Albuquerque Business First.
Yes. Hi, Dennis.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. Well, this is such a big issue, this whole thing with the banking, with Frank Dodd, or Dodd-Frank.
Dodd-Frank.
Dodd-Frank,
I
yeah.
know a man named Frank Dodd.
Frank Dodd. It
He's
wasn't
trying to
him.
regulate
It's
banks
not
himself.
him.
It's awful. He goes in, he's an old guy, he says, I'm shutting you down.
You're out of here.
You're out of here.
As opposed to the 19,000-page
Pages
document.
of
Oh my
Dodd-Frank.
gosh.
Yeah, it's 19,000 pages and counting. They're only 40% done. And they got 19,000 pages of what they call regulatory text. No one can possibly read this stuff. For the big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they got roomfuls of lawyers. They got entire floors of lawyers, and they can do this. For these community banks, especially in small communities like New Mexico and elsewhere, this is a disaster. They can't possibly keep up with this stuff, and they're just beside themselves.
And community banks are really vital to our economy because small businesses utilize the community banks, rural communities use these banks.
48% of all small business lending in the United States is done by community banks. And community banks have 19% of all assets. So,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, and it's not a good thing.
The big 800-pound gorilla regulatory rule that I hear about most from community banks is the cash balance they have to keep on hand. It's ridiculously high.
Well,
This is in reaction to the
yeah,
banks
well,
that
they
failed.
want them to have more capital.
Right. It's out of proportion.
It's out of
Right.
proportion, and normal leverage is about 10 to 1, so for every dollar in capital you have, you can lend out 10. Wells, all those other big banks, they were
Right.
leveraging at 30 to 1.
Yes.
And that's that's what got a lot of people. So all these community banks are saying, hey, we didn't have anything to do with this. We didn't make bad mortgages. We didn't lend to people who we knew could not afford to pay back. They didn't do it. And they're the ones who got hammered on this. There's some, they would like to be carved out of Dodd-Frank. I doubt that is going to happen. Would probably be a good thing if it did. I was talking to a banker down in Alamogordo, Dion Kidd, Western Bank in Alamogordo. She's been preparing for one. It's called a diversity thing. It's a proposed rule. But they would have to check on the diversity practices, the hiring practices of their vendors to make sure they're vendors, they're contractors. So
No kidding.
yeah, I mean, it's a proposed rule and they're still under comment. But so if you decide to hire a caterer for an event, you got to somehow assure that they're doing minority hiring, women hiring, blah, blah,
Who
blah.
has time for this?
No one. And in a place like Alamogordo where there probably isn't that much diversity, you ain't going to meet any. It's insane.
So what's happening as a result?
Well, they are trying to get a carve-out in Congress, or at least diminish some of this stuff. Right, but right now it's things are moving slow. Right now they're stuck with this. And Dion Kidd told me that in years past, before Dodd-Frank and before all this hit, regulatory compliance matters were about 10% of total costs for her bank. Now she says they're about a third. And that is money that can't be loaned out. That is that is in effect wasted money. That is non-productive money, or they call it non-earning in money.
Just to get through all the regulations.
Yeah, I mean, because it's taken hundreds upon hundreds of hours. You've got to get pretty much in a small bank, everybody involved in it. So rather than going out making a loan, rather than servicing a loan, they're stuck in a room reading regulations.
Trying to make it all work.
Crazy.
We have about 2 minutes left. I want to change over to a different topic, and you walked in and said, I have some breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news, everybody.
Breaking news right
about
here. And I have to apologize. I got here late. I was in the office making some phone calls.
Yeah.
And was talking with the people from the Office of the Superintendent of Insurance for New Mexico. Just some updated insurance numbers on the exchange and off the exchange. The exchange itself, meaning the federal exchange, has about 26,000 people now. That is as of March 31st.
Right.
And that will still grow. On and off the exchange, meaning for both individuals and small and large groups, The new enrollments since October, about 56,000 in New Mexico. That's a pretty good number. That ain't bad.
Yeah.
Well, there was a deadline. You
Yeah,
had to meet a deadline.
and what was happening, from what the insurers were telling me, is that the last 2 or 3 days their phones were pretty much ringing off the hook. So people did wait. A lot of people did wait till the last minute, and then they got wondering why they couldn't get through.
Yeah.
But you know, that is some good news. And the other good news, which I reported on last week, is New Mexico Health Connections, the startup nonprofit. They've got about 10,000 people, which is astounding
great.
for a company that had 0 in
Yeah.
October.
Now they've got to administer
Wow.
this.
They do, and then they've got the people there, and they
So,
do have the
good.
money. They are funded with public loans.
So the hard
Good.
part was just getting people on board.
Yeah.
Getting them signed up.
And their enrollments are basically tied with Presbyterian. So
That's great.
they're tied with the giant.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, so it's in its competition. It's
Dennis
good.
Domzalski,
Exactly.
everybody, from Albuquerque Business First. We'll be back with a final cup on the Morning Brew right after this.